Welcome to the Livestock Podcast, sponsored by the University of Tennessee Beef and Forage Center. I'm Bruno Pedreira, Center Director, and also UT Extension Forage Specialist. With me today, I have Dr. Katie Mason, our UT Extension Beef Cattle Specialist. How are you doing today, Dr. Mason?
I'm great. I'm excited to talk a little bit about forage budgets.
Yeah, math, right? Let's do some math today. And we are pleased to welcome our guest today, David Bilderback, our extension specialist in farm management with the University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture.
How are y'all doing today?
Man, yeah. You good?
We're good.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here to be able to talk a little bit about this forage budget that Dr. Mason just mentioned.
Yeah. So
Everybody loves budgets.
everybody loves a budget. They love a spreadsheet. But first, before we get into the budgets, tell us a little bit about your role, your background, kind of how you got to be where you are now.
So I work for the University of Tennessee Farm Management Program. There's 9 of us across the state. So there's 9 specialists across the state. We cover a specific area and then also have a few statewide responsibilities that we cover doing farm financial management. And we specifically work one-on-one with producers doing financial plans. That is the main mission of our job, is to sit down at the kitchen table with farm families going through finances. The great part about the job is there's no cost directly to a producer, and we are unbiased. We're not selling anything. We're not selling a loan. We're not selling a product. We can look at it from a projection and give you at least, we'll never give you an answer. That's not our job. Our job is to present you with the information and show you the options that will best work for your operation.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's great because I feel like most of us, we don't have this financial background that we need. And every time we talk, I realize, the more we need to learn about this. And I think one of the greatest thing we did here in the last year or so was to put together that forage budget, right?
So it was much needed.
Yeah, much needed. We have been talking it for a while. So let's start with forage budget. Can you explain what a forage budget is?
So the forage budgets are basically just, a budget in itself is income minus expenses for an enterprise budget. So what we have done is create there's actually a calculator that will calculate these budgets for you by answering 5 or 6 different questions. Do you want a hay budget? Do you want a cool season grass? Or what size bales do you have? It's just asking you basic questions like that, and you generate budget, and it will generate one single budget instead of having to look through the documents, which we have those as well. A lot of people don't have Excel, so we have PDFs of, gosh, there's probably 80 different budgets, Bruno, on there. So
with the combinations of pastures or hay and cool
hay,
seasons, warm season plants.
So we've got annuals, we've got perennials, summer, and so we go through all those. We do have a revenue side of it now, because one major change I wanted to do with this version of the budgets is I wanted to get to that per bale cost. Because we have a lot of producers throughout the state of Tennessee that sell hay.
Sell per bale.
And it's hard to understand what that cost is. So this budget will take your information and help you come up with what your cost is of production, so you can price your hay at an above cost price. You can put a margin in there and make sure that it makes sense. Or that you're growing the right type of crop. Maybe you need to go to maybe you're just doing fescue and you can't get above $50 for that 4x5 bale. Maybe you need to look at some other types of forages that may get a premium, orchard grass or something of that nature.
So as you're working with folks and before this budget was put together, I know we had some tools and we were already helping folks, but what were some of the things that people were leaving out of those calculations when they were trying to budget for or I guess make their prices, for hay as they're selling hay?
Yeah. Well, and I get the hardest one's always machinery. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's always the hardest one. And we did change that in the budget. That was a major change that we made in the budget. We did a custom rate survey across the state in 2023, I believe it was. We're going to redo that this year for the updated budgets for 2027. So we'll have updated custom rate prices because we've had some inflationary factors on all inputs and machinery that have probably upped those rates.
And when you say custom rates, you were mentioning about, you were saying the cost to bale or to rake
Yes,
or
yes.
to plant or to wherever is the operator.
So when you look at the budgets, it's got your variable expenses at the top. So it's got your fertilizer, seed, spraying,
Lime.
lime.
Yeah.
So it's got all that stuff at the top. Then it goes down in machinery. On the old traditional budgets, we'd also had fuel and oil up there. We'd had some of those. And they were more of mathematical calculations based off machinery size that we choose. Well, that's really tough because everybody has different machinery. So what we did was use these custom rates. So we did these surveys and said, okay, all right, Bruno, how much do you charge to bale? And we asked all across the state and come up with averages for different size of bales, different size of machinery on per acre basis, on per bale basis. Didn't go into the per hour. We basically stuck at those two levels. But when you think about custom rates, the important part to think about is that includes labor, machinery, maintenance, repairs, depreciation, all those ownership cost and the operating cost for that machinery plus labor. We checked our work as a good university would, and we went the traditional way, and our budget for a 4x5 bale of fescue came out to like $27 for machinery per bale. We used the Iowa State, the manual that they come out with about every year, calculated, it came out to 22, but their number doesn't include labor.
Yeah.
So we felt really secure that we had good numbers. And to be honest, custom rates are one of the biggest questions that we get at the county extension office level. I have agents, I will get calls starting now till about September on, what are these costs? So we are going to try to update that, and that's a summer project because this is when you ask them when they're doing it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through that and update that for the 2027 budget.
So the prices we have there right now are prices from last fall, right?
Pretty close, yeah. And there's the great thing about the budgets, the spreadsheet wise, you can go in and update the input prices. We have an input price page. You can go to your farm supply store and you can price everything in there and automatically change it. It also, for fertilizer, you get urea, DAP, and muriate of potash, and you put in the off the belt price per ton, and it calculates the NPO520 or whatever. Yeah. It calculates all that for you.
Talking to the agronomist here.
That's right.
Don't need to get in the woods.
Yeah. K2O. There we go.
Yeah.
It calculates all that for you on a per pound basis. I mean, and that's so that's something you really need to look at. If you don't like Excel spreadsheets too, again, call the farm management specialist in your area. We will come out and work through this with you and look at it. The other thing is we base all the nutrient stuff in the budgets just at a level we think would be sort of an average for the state. Bruno checks all that out, and we put them in, and we've already seen some stuff. We want to make changes, haven't we, Bruno?
That's the reason we have version number 2, right?
Yeah. So we're going to go, we're actually going to go through back that stuff as well, but you can change all those levels, but we, again, would highly recommend a soil sample. I've done this job for 20 years now, and used to, when I first started and you could get triple 19 probably for $250 a ton. Okay. Yeah. Go put your 200 pounds out. It's not that way anymore.
A little over 250 now.
Probably 750 at the current day because we've really seen a drive up. past 6, 7, 8 weeks on nitrogen, especially.
Mhm.
You're well over $900 a ton in most places for urea. Which is the main place we're going to get our nitrogen.
So from the producer perspective, when they download the spreadsheet and that's available online, right? If they Google UTE forage budget,
Yeah,
it's gonna
just
pop
just
there.
Google UT Forage budget. That is the easiest way to find it. We can. I'm sure below the podcast we might be able to put a link to that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can try to attach it there as well. But I mean, as a producer, you already mentioned, I want to choose that. Well, we will do a budget for a pasture, and then you choose if I want to what kind of forage we have there, so you can pick fescue, crabgrass, orchard. We have a few options there,
Yep.
and then you have all those blue cells, right, that you can add it and do whatever. So
Yeah,
you already
you can-
mentioned the
you can
soil
change.
test.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're going to apply, you were going to be able to edit all those cells, right?
Yeah, I've got some producers that I've worked with in my area that I've went through and made the budget specific to their farm.
Mhm.
Even going into their own machinery calculator. I had one producer, he wanted to know exactly how much bale his machinery was costing him.
Mm-hmm.
Created a spreadsheet and got to that number. So I took all those custom rates out and put his specific value in there
Mm.
on a per acre basis and to a per bale basis
Mm.
because he was selling square bale hay. It's very important to
Mhm.
understand because equipment is, I mean, y'all are going through it out there.
Mhm.
The inflation on equipment's been tremendous over the past 5 years. Something we've probably not seen in decades, and it's not cheap to operate.
Yeah, so all these projects are big investments, right? And we've talked a lot about just the general forage budget, but thinking about pasture renovation, we're coming out of a time where we're in a drought, obviously, and we know that can impact persistence of forage, especially if it gets, overgrazed or kind of mistreated during this time that we have these drought conditions. And so, why is it important to do the math on that pasture renovation before you undertake that big project?
Well, one, you need to know really anytime we're looking at renovating pastures, it's not a 1 year expense. It is a 1 year expense, but when we're renovating pasture or a hayfield, we're hoping that lasts 10 years. On the top of all of our annual budgets, you will see a prorated expense at the top for that, saying, hey, we're putting back $30 an acre a year. Lime, for instance, that's the one I always point to, and why soil samples, of course, are so important. If you're renovating a pasture, we need to make sure our pH is right. I mean, that's critical.
Bruno made you say that though, right?
Bruno made me say, yeah.
pH first.
No, it's always pH. It is. If I'm the economist, I don't want you to throw your money away.
Yeah.
I mean, and if the pH isn't right, you're going to throw money away.
Yep.
I mean, it's plain simple. So,
And it's the cheapest one.
what?
Lime is the cheapest one, right?
I don't know if I would say that.
When you compare
When you
with all
compare-
the rest,
Yeah,
with nitrogen,
but the
phosphorus, and
upfront
potassium.
cost. So, but let's say your pH is fine. Well, if you look in my little establishment table at the bottom of the budget, that's $96 an acre right now.
Yeah,
Because it's
or 2 tons. Yeah,
for 2 tons an acre. Because most of the time we're going to put 2 tons an
Yeah.
acre down. If we're going to do it and get somebody out there,
Yeah.
we're going to put 2 tons an acre. So if you look at that, you're looking at a couple $100 on top of the line though, for the other variable expenses such as seed, fertilizer, spray, burn down,
Mhm.
because that's critical too. Anytime you're renovating a pasture, it needs to be burnt down really to give those young seedlings a chance.
So if you were a producer, you were considering go through a spreadsheet like this to figure out your budget. What are the key factors that we need to have? We're talking about quantities and prices, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah, and if you know some of your old yields, I mean, we're going to have a standard yield we're going to put in there. Fescue, typically, I'm around 3 tons per acre is where I'm going to start. We're going to put a price per ton, what that value of that hay is. If you're not selling it, you can zero that out. But then a good soil sample, so you know exactly what the NP and K is that you need. Um, if you know what your standard treatment is for broadleaf weeds, uh, that's another change we made. All the old budgets were pretty much 2 quarts of 2,4-D and
Mhm.
roll with it. So what we have done is we've averaged the three most common treatments. So it's Duracore, Graze on Next, and 2,4-D. And we just went with an average treatment because the reality is it really depends on the weed.
Yeah.
I
And
want
some
to,
hay fields you won't need that, right?
yeah, and some you won't.
Some
And
will
so
be
you
need
can zero,
twice. Yeah.
yeah, you can zero them out. Sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need just 2,4-D. You can get away a little cheaper. Sometimes you need Duracore, depending on what the weed pressure is. So you can adjust that, take those numbers out. It works pretty well to do all those. And we also do have pest control for let's say armyworms, fall armyworms. The
Mm-hmm.
past 2 years
We
have
have there. Yeah.
it's been different. I mean, it's starting to become 1 year's an oddity, but now we've had it 2 years. It's becoming a trend. So we wanted to go ahead and have some and we've had that a little bit already with Bermuda, where with the stem maggot, where so we decided to put it's not got any numbers in it, but it's got the capability of
You can
putting
add.
pest control in.
So how do fertilizer prices impact all of this, right?
Oh, they're
We're
tremendous.
we are working talking about do some math here. Last time we checked, urea was like 920 or so.
Yeah, well, last night we were presenting, and I'm sure they all looked at that hay budget I brought them because I went ahead and just put yesterday's fertilizer prices, called a couple of supply stores up, got an average, put them in there. And if you looked at just the nitrogen cost on a fescue hayfield, putting 120 units in over the course of the season, the fescue price per bale to 3 ton yield for a 4x5, 710 pound bale was about $15 a bale. And that sounds a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. And when something I don't know if I've seen in my career is nitrogen above $1 a unit.
Yeah, now we
And
have
it's
it.
it's 101. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't checked nitrogen about 4 or 5 weeks, so I didn't realize it had gone up quite that much. Last time I saw it was in 700s.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that shocked me.
it's a big impact, and
It
making
is.
sure that you're
Especially
figuring out what to actually put down and why that soil test really matters.
and diesel too. If you're selling hay, um, you know, I really I would look into that. I would look at what my diesel cost is being per acre and how much it's went up. I had a guy in the square bale business, and I highly recommend we look at the numbers, and he needed to go up,
Yeah.
maybe 75 cents to $1 a bale
Yeah.
because of fertilizer and nitrogen.
Yeah.
Because you've got to keep your margin on something like that.
And I think that's the beauty of the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about forage budget, I think, at least in my mind, it's a lot like, oh, how much it's going to cost to me? No, we can use that spreadsheet to decide, how much nitrogen I'm going to apply, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that I am producing a hay bale that I'm going to be able to sell it
And I may back off on my nitrogen
and say, yeah, this year I may limit it a little bit,
get my
right?
P and K right, and
on
back.
the opposite side of it is if you are producing to sell a bale, how do you price that bale?
Yeah.
Right. And having a tool like this where you can put all your numbers together, you realize the numbers and you may need to push price up.
Yeah. And you know what I tell people is it's kind of like it's a quick and dirty method. It makes it where you can get there a lot quicker. And again, we're here to help you with that too. That's what my program does. So don't hesitate to give us a call. Contact your county extension agent. They'll get us in touch with us if you don't know one of us, and we'll come out and work through those because it is critical, especially with machinery. I mean, round baler at $75,000 to get. I mean, they're and I had plenty of people told me that's what they cost them. So you especially getting the baleage balers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's a whole
Wrapper,
different
yeah.
game.
they're
Yeah.
way up there because
Yeah. So thinking about kind of finding that balance between productivity and keeping your costs in check. As you're trying to, maintain those good stands of grass that you've taken all the time and effort and money to renovate, what are some best practices to keep those pastures or hayfields maintained and also keep your costs in check?
so even with the current fertilizer prices, you want to try to produce as much of your hay crop on a minimum amount of acres as you possibly can, because the diesel and the cost of the equipment overpower all that. So the less that equipment is running, so the more tons per acre, the more bales per acre, the better off you are. Um, the one thing, and Bruno, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but mowing height is a huge one.
Oh yeah.
That's
Stubble
I
height. Yeah.
I mean, I see it all the time that if you and disc mowers are tough.
They can scalp the
I've
soil.
done it I've done it I've did a lot of my life growing up. I always tell people that I've been retired for 20 years. But, we sold the dairy out when I was a junior in college. My last 2 years of college were a lot more fun than the first two. But but no, it's but those mowing heights really, uh, man, they especially with a dry year like this. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't get good root growth over
Yeah.
the winter, and it's really going to impact the stands of grass. And then here comes the sweet vernal. Here comes, I mean,
Bare
you
ground.
name it,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
coming. And so we really got to make sure you get those shoes in there right. Maybe do some on-farm engineering, because a lot of the shoes and stuff they sell for those mowers still won't get it up high enough. But there's been so many studies. I think it was Dr. Hancock that had one showing if you mow at 4 inches versus 2 inches over a course of a summer, it ended up like a ton and a half more yield at 4 inches over 2 inches. And it makes so much sense because that plant,
You allow that
it
regrowth.
grows, but that regrowth is so much quicker from 4 inches
Yeah.
up than it is from 2 to 4.
Mm.
So I really, that's a big one.
Don't be too greedy and harvest more, right? I think that's the main goal.
I really like early harvest if you can do it. This year I
If
had
you
a few
can, yeah.
I had a few producers that got out there and put up some really high quality hay because it wasn't raining. That now they did run the issue they ran into, Bruno, was not the curing at night because of the
Yeah.
colder
Colder
temperature.
temperatures.
But they got it up, and they're those fields. I went by and looked at them. They actually look. The second cutting is going to be way better than the first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Speaking of drought and budgets, and we are going through, and hopefully rain is coming, right? That's what we always have the hope for. But what if we don't have it and we need to deal with this drought for a little more? We were talking yesterday with the few things that we could do as well in terms of drought.
mhm.
And I think one of the first things we all discussed was that, what are the animals you have and how good are they and how much they really help you to make money. What would be your advice for farmers right now? They are still short in forage. They're seeing that their pastures are not growing, as we're expecting them to be in a good May, and they still have a lot of animals in the farm.
I'm finding my worst hayfield, worst pasture, whichever way it is. I'm burning it down and putting in an annual if I didn't have it today, and I truly needed to get some forage going. I mean, we all know we're in agriculture. Farmers, there's nobody that likes to gamble more than a farmer, and we have had, and we've got some good soil moisture coming in now. So really looking at putting in an annual this summer to get through the summer.
If we get some moisture, yeah.
Sudex would be a great one. That's probably the most success I see people have in our state. Probably overall is probably sorghum Sudan, and then the other one would be some type of millet would be a possibility. And the crabgrass scares me this year because of the price of fertilizers. that one scares me. That's why I would lean more away from
On
crabgrass
yeah,
because man, it's nitrogen's expensive this year.
it is.
And sorghum Sudan, you don't want to push it too much with nitrogen anyway because
No,
of
nitrates.
what issues do we need to
Yeah,
discuss on that one?
nitrates.
Yeah.
And how about the number of animals? How about cows and bulls?
Oh,
Good time to sell then, isn't it?
oh, it's a great time if you're over capacity, especially with the drought, and you just don't have any way to get these animals through. Um, there we do have a lot of drought resources that Katie was talking about. There's a drought page at UT, but there's the first thing you got to do if a cow's open, she needs to go, especially with the current market. If she's got no way to bring income in the next year, she needs to go. If she's got any lameness, anything like that, that actually is probably before even, especially now. You do not want an animal passing away on the farm. You don't want that animal dying on the farm. You want to get it going. Uh, so you start looking through there and say, okay, what are my best genetics? Then you start going age. You just sort of go down the list. Just make sure everything's healthy. Make sure you got the right age. That's probably the best way to depopulate, destock,
Shrink the herd. Yeah.
shrink the herd. And sometimes, or you mentioned it last night, Katie, sacrifice field, head, and put them up and feed them. We did have the one thing about this drought is a lot of people have a lot of leftover hay from last year.
Right.
That is the one positive we have. So, maybe put them up with the price of cattle. If you're not willing to reduce your herd size, sacrifice a feed and feed. Get talk to your local feed sales rep, get a balanced feed to feed with them with some hay. Might be another option too. Because I understand not wanting with the current markets, it's tough to cull some of these animals, especially if they're bred back. You don't want to do it.
No.
Yeah. And it's, we want to do that sacrifice paddock a little bit earlier than we maybe think we should or want to. People don't want to feed hay this time of year. It should be the time of year that we're least reliant on hay, but man, thinking about persistence in those pastures.
Well, this would be a good time to do it. We get all this rain. Get them, put them in the sacrifice area and let all
Let
those
that
other
grass
fields
let
let
it
it
go.
let it go. Because
Please, that
I think we
let
got
that
an inch.
pasture rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been good to
good.
add some moisture. So as we start to kind of wrap up here, thinking about, obviously, markets change and prices change and all of this is very volatile and back and forth. But when you're thinking about the future of farm management, forage systems, beef systems, whatever it is, dairy systems,
Can we talk dairy?
what trends or innovations are you looking forward to seeing that will help people with their financial management?
Well, one is keep good records. There's a lot of good computerized systems out there. Just from a financial management side, there's some really good ones out there that we can help you evaluate. Uh, don't try to go. Oh, don't try to overthink it. That's a big thing I see people do. But when it comes to forages with any type of livestock, it truly is the it's what matters. Like we don't have, who was it that used to say, was it Jim Neal? Said, we don't grow cattle, we grow forage to feed cattle. We're adding value to that forage. I mean, that is what we're doing. So if you don't have the proper forage out there, the animals aren't going to grow as well. They're not going to sell as well. They're not going to breed back because that's the number one thing with any. I'm like you said, I'm a dairy background. I was trying to hide that.
That's
Some of these people may know me.
We can live with that. It's fine.
But I mean, it doesn't matter if you're dairy or a cow calf herd. The number one priority is getting that animal bred back. Because if she's not bred back,
gotta feed that calf, man.
You're got nothing to sell. Because that's always a conversation I have with producers I work with, especially on the dairy side. We look at those repro numbers because they don't understand why their cost per hundred is a little bit higher than some of their peers in some of the benchmarking we do. And you look at it, it's days in milk, and
Yeah.
it's milk. It goes back to milk production. Well, it's no different than the beef herd is.
Number of calves.
You need to be having a calf
Yeah.
a year.
Yep.
It's extremely important. Strive for that 90% weaning percentage. All it's extremely important.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, thank you so much. I think it was a great Forage budget discussion here. We were excited to share with our producers that we finally got that spreadsheet out. It's been out for a few months now, but
I told you it was coming, Bruno.
We couldn't get you
years.
on the show that soon.
It was
So we really need to spread the word. I think it's very, very, very helpful.
And before we quit, Becky Bowling and Ag Econ needs a ton of credit for this.
To put those numbers together.
Came up with an idea that I didn't know if it would work or not, and she made it work because it is extremely user friendly.
It is
to people. And I come from Monroe County, Tennessee, and when I look at a lot of university spreadsheets that we put out there, not just us, but all over the country, I'll download them. I'm like, man, that sounds like a good idea. And I'll get in there and I'll be like, what in the world am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So we tried our best to make this where it makes total sense. And because if it doesn't make sense to me and about 10 other people, I'm not going to put it out.
No, and I think we did it. I think this shit it's very friendly. We're here to get feedback. So if you guys see something that you like, please let us know. The idea is to keep moving with the one. Right?
And if you find a mistake, please tell us, because there definitely can be one. It's about 80 different pages.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't look that way though. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're like
you only see one page at a time.
No, that's great. David, thank you so much. It was great to have you here in the podcast. We appreciate you taking time to come here.
Thank you.
Well, for you guys, thank you for being with us for that to another livestock podcast. Hope you can see you guys next month for another beef and forage discussion. Thank you so much.